again, Cowboy fans and YouTubers. This is the VA Dallas Cowboy fan coming back at you. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting down below. I make these videos for me and you, and they're a little therapeutic, especially if you're a Cowboy fan with all these other guys getting arrested this offseason, and the fact that it's not been a Cowboy. Let me say that again. It's not been a Cowboy in the news for something bad. Now, you can throw around that there's been ex-Cowboys that have been in the news, but current players, we got better stuff to think about. Dak's probably off in Mexico with his girl. He's been to UFCs. Zeke's been training. CD's been training, looking cut and swole. These guys, are getting in shape. They don't have time to mess around this offseason when they know a lot is at stake this year. Some guys' jobs are on the line, not just coaches, but players. And, they got to turn this thing around. You can't go 6-10, even though it's basically impossible to do that again. But they know this can't be a losing season. So having them focus on working out and getting ready for training camp is a better sign, especially with Hard Knocks coming in, and they're going to do or try to make the Cowboys look entertaining more than focusing on football. So we don't know how those stories are going to play out, but it's good to see we're not in the news for anything bad. Unlike some other players on other teams that have been in the news, I saw another YouTuber, Mark Holmes. He talked about this guy from the Seattle Seahawks, Chad Wheeler, a former offensive lineman. I didn't know or really paid too much attention to it, but apparently he was charged with first-degree domestic violence assault, domestic violence, unlawful imprisonment, and resisting arrest back in January, I do believe. And since then, of course, Seattle had waived him. So that goes to show, if you're on any team in the NFL, you do something that's that detrimental to the shield and the brand of the NFL, you're gone. There's no second chances for stuff like that. Look at what they did to Zeke, trying to make him look like a bad guy when they had nothing on him, and they suspended him. So the stuff people are doing domestically, that's just going to get you off a team real quick. You had Zaven Collins, the linebacker for Arizona, that some guys actually mocked to us during the draft period. It didn't happen that way. We got Micah Parsons, who has answered questions about his past as well. But he was arrested for DUI and excessive speed and reckless driving. So, we kind of dodged the bullet on that one. But, if it was Dallas Cowboy linebacker Zaven Collins, it'd have been front page news. But you see, that was kind of reported real quick, and then just like magic, it's out of the news. It's never talked about again. Next up, Frank Clark. You wonder what's going on there. I mean, he's got some issues, obviously. He's had weapons charges brought on him in March, and he's going to be seeing going to see the judge and getting arraigned for that this week, I do believe. And that was a weapons charge because some cops had pulled up on him and found illegal firearms in a bag or something in the back seat of his car, and they cited him for that. And then in June, he was arrested again for having an Uzi in his Lambo. So you're seeing the pattern of problems with him, and yet he's a player that hasn't been cut. He's still with his team. Nobody is saying a word about him, but when you're a team like Kansas City and their former Super Bowl champs and Pat Mahomes and the namesake is all on the line, you're probably not going to hear much, if anything. So they're trying to keep that hush-hush, but keep him on the team because they don't want that kind of embarrassment, but it's already embarrassment. So him still being on the team when he's clearly got an issue, I don't understand that. But he's not a Cowboy. And lastly, another big name this past week with Marcavius Mingo. Of course, he was arrested for having some indecencies with a minor. One count of indecency with a child sexual act. He did turn himself in, so that's a good thing. Turning yourself in on that. They're saying that he's a victim of a false claim and that somebody's motivated by money or some other ulterior motive, and that of course his attorney is going to say that he's being framed, truth will come to light, and he'll be fully exonerated. That's well and good if that happens, but before that, the Atlanta Falcons, who just paid him this season to be on their team, has terminated their contract with him. So you see the pattern of some players getting terminated, especially when they're not doing much for the team, if at all, at the time. But you see some teams are like, no, we can't do that. But you're just happy that it's not a Cowboy. Because these articles are a bad look for the NFL as a whole. But you see that it's not the Cowboys. That's why nobody's really talking about it. Because I swear, every time I listen to my radio, the first thing that comes on is something about the Cowboys. They're always talking about Dak. They're always talking about Zeke. They're always talking about something Cowboys that has nothing to do with the program. That has nothing to do with anything at the time. You're putting our names into every freaking possible opinion piece just because. And it has nothing to do with anything. I don't know why we're not talking more about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I think that's a story that needs to be talked about. Washington's, and the fact that it seems like Dan Snyder is putting a person of a minority in charge of anything, or a female in charge of anything, just to get the heat off of his team's bad looks and bad sexual misconduct issues from the past, and it's swept under the rug. Nobody talks about it. You got where is the Houston Texans? Where is your quarterback? Who is going to be your starting quarterback? Deshaun or Tyrod? Because haven't heard anything. Y'all canceled your OTAs just to get out of being asked the question again. So, all in all, I'm just happy the Cowboys are staying out of trouble. Our guys are just trying to go and be as fit as possible, be ready as possible, mentally, physically, and do the right thing and stay out of the news for anything negative. I'll take that in a heartbeat. It's been a long time since the Cowboys have done that. And if we can actually go a whole offseason without one player being suspended or caught doing something, I'd have to say it's been a very long time, because I know there's been a string during the Jason Garrett era where there's been at least one defensive guy who's been arrested, suspended, charged, or something crazy once a season for basically his whole tenure as a head coach. And yet he's the guy that say he want the right kind of guys and had is a winning culture in the locker room. Mark McCarthy's here, Dak Prescott is here, the culture is changing. You see it every time something comes up with the way we're drafting now, with the way we're changing things, offensively, defensively, I hope, and that the Joneses are starting to listen. We're starting to break through that changes need to be made to have a winning football team again. Not just a winning brand, but a winning team in the playoffs. If you can't win a Super Bowl, at least make it to the NFC Championship. If you can't do that, at least be in the playoffs more often than not. That makes no sense. I'd like to see at least get past wild card weekend sometime. But you know, that's all I really wanted to talk about in this video. And Greg Hardy getting knocked out at UFC last night, that's pretty damn funny. And a lot of people agreed that he deserves it after all this time. But hey, what do I know? But again, thank you all for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting down below. I hope you guys have a good rest of the night. And until something else comes up to talk about, I'll see you later. This is VA Dallas Cowboy Fan, out.